So Kasim, she's, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, councillors, members of the public and staff. I declare meeting open at 6:31. Everyone at this meeting is reminded to conduct themselves in a polite and professional manner. Keep communication factual and use appropriate language and tone. Do not use any defamatory or derogatory remarks. Defamation laws apply to address in public forum. I also ask councillors to observe the requirements under the Code of Meeting Practice and Meeting Etiquette. I remind all present that the video recording is an official record of council and that may be made available to persons upon request in accordance with the Government Information Public Access Act 2009. No other recordings are permitted. I'd like to start with acknowledging the Bidjigal clans, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and work, and acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to elders past and present. On our next item, apologies. I don't think we have any apologies, but we do have leave of absence, which was previously granted to Councillor Kasim. On the disclosure of interest, we've got two items here, councillors. Any disclosure of interest? None? Okay, thank you. No disclosure of interest. That would be recorded in the minutes. Minutes of previous meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder that was present in last meeting? Councillor Strong, seconded by Mayor Dougal. Thank you. All in favour say aye. Against, declare it carried. Items by exception, none. Public forum, I believe we have no public forum. Okay, in that case, we'll move to reports. We have two reports on for tonight. The first report is the Community Grants Program, CS 25.033, 2025-26 Community Grant Program. I think who's addressing that is Dawson. Thank you. Sorry, I'll have the mover and a seconder before we go on to that. Moved by Mayor McDougall, second by Councillor Breda Hoff. Thank you. And Ms. Dawson, thank you.
Through you, Chair. Council's annual community grants round was opened on the 21st of July 2025 for a 6-week period, after which 42 applications for funding were received. These applications have been reviewed against the funding guidelines by an independent assessment panel comprising professionals who operate local-based services and as such have an understanding of the community need. A total of 8 applications are recommended for seeding grants and 13 applications are recommended for small grants, with an additional 4 applications recommended subject to receipt of additional information to confirm eligibility. The report recommends Council approve a total of $66,704 in community grants funding to these applicants, subject to those flagged as requiring further information. The grants presentation ceremony is scheduled for 5 p.m. on the 12th of November at Botany Town Hall, immediately preceding the November City Services Committee, and all councillors are welcome to attend.
Thank you so much for that. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Naji, would you like to take the microphone, please, Councillor Naji?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question clarifying, there's a grants totaling 66,000, without my glasses, 704. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What does council budget for the grants that we have?
Oh, through the chair, this year we had $100,000 available for community grants.
Yeah, no, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that, Mr. Chair, because I brought it up in a council meeting that the surplus we have And anyway, I just wanted to clarify and have it on record. Thank you very much.
So does that surplus get added to the 100 grand next year, or do we start from the 100 again?
Through the chair, it's my understanding that it doesn't. No, it gets swept back into general revenue.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, any other questions on the grants? Councillor, did you want to? You okay with the grants? Okay. All right, thank you. So we have a mover and a second. All in favour, say aye. Against, declare it carried. Thank you. Councillors, we're on the next report, which is CS 25.034, supplementary report, Gardner Park Lighting, Sporting Lighting. I think we've had a lot of detail on that, but could I have a mover and second? We have an officer's recommendation there. Moved by Councillor Curry, and I'll second that. Sorry. Farrell.
Through the chair, I just have a very short presentation. This is in response to a notice of motion around lighting at Gardner Park and supporting training capacity, improving safety and facilities, and reducing light spill to residents. The existing lights at Gardner Park are 8 lighting poles. They are halogen lights in that location designed to meet 50 lux. We can undertake, as part of our future upgrades, an upgrade utilising those existing poles and the existing infrastructure, being the wiring and power into the park. Those poles could achieve a 100 lux by an upgrade with LEDs. The table on the screen just shows the current condition is 50, minimal light spill and suitable for amateur use and training, and it is fit for purpose for training at the park. 100 lux would allow amateur level evening games and still would allow for training as well. And it would obviously increase safety with additional lighting, because we can utilise the existing facilities in the poles and the infrastructure. We estimate that would be approximately $250,000 to upgrade. We were asked to just look at our sports fields and the known lux levels. So I know that that's a little bit hard to read on the screen, but in the body of the report, we do detail all of our parks, what has 50 and 100 lux, and some of our parks, for instance, Barton Park, can be switched to 200 lux for a night competition game. Many of our parks are LED. We do have some original metal halide lights, and also we have some halogen lights. Now, the Australian federal government commenced phasing out of halogen with the Greenhouse and Energy Minimum Standards Act, which came out in 2021. That stops the import of any halogen lights into Australia from October this year, so this month. Although you can still sell halogen lights until 2030, Australia can't import any additional, so we'll be utilising current stocks to do any light globe changes for those halogens. So with that in mind, we have looked at what our long-term planning is. So our current capital upgrades, what's budgeted for this year, either in design, planning or construction. You would have seen the tenders come through for Scarborough Park East and AS Tanner. We're doing some planning and we'll be bringing a construction tender to you for the Scarborough Park Central lights. We're currently in the early phases of planning and design for Borley and Rowland. We're working with sporting partners for Riverine Park, and Mascot Oval will get a lighting upgrade as part of the redevelopment. In terms of our future and what's planned in the next 4 years, so to ensure we meet those deadlines of the halogen light phase out, in the next 4 years you will see coming through our capital upgrades Carl Park, Gardner Park, Kingsgrove Avenue Reserve, Tonbridge Reserve and CA Redmond. So Carl Park and Gardner Park are currently listed for planning and review for next financial year, and then they'd move into construction once we went through a community consultation and design process, and then a construction in future years. And we would continue to ensure we meet the deadlines for those 5 parks. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillors, any comments? Councillor Strong?
I think phasing out halogen and potentially reducing light spill will be music to the ears of the troubled residents of Gardeners Park. I mean, I think they really need to be shown that you can have reduced light spill by upgrading. But I do think they might still be concerned about increased nighttime usage with these new lights in the park. So is there anything that we can tell the residents of Gardeners Park who have been impacted by this facility that it's not going to see loads of more nighttime usage with the upgrade?
Through the chair, we can absolutely limit at what the lux level is at the park, and that can be switched between 150 to enable games on the all-weather field and training on the other ones. In terms of usage, we as council control that by bookings and can certainly ensure that it's not going into later evenings and that we stick to the current operating hours.
Councillor Ridderhoff?
Thank you. Thank you for providing this, and thank you for Councillor Naji to put this forward, because I think this is a very important information that the light is actually halogen, or however you call that in English, and not LED. So because that makes a different lighting feel, and it does probably mean that the light is very dark in comparison to LED, and it's also not that environmentally friendly, as you have pointed out. So maybe there is a view that we can upgrade this relatively old technology earlier than, I don't know when it's in the moment scheduled for, you said
2030 for Gardner.
in the next 4 years. So is there a way that, we can upgrade it to LED light further, because that's actually more environmentally friendly as well?
Through the chair, so the draft capital projects program includes the planning and design for Gardner Park next year. Council hasn't adopted that as yet, so you will be given the opportunity as part of the workshops and council reports that come up to you to endorse that as a project for next year for design and approvals.
Any other comments, Councillor? Just a quick question from myself. Sorry, Councillor Naji, you go first. With the halogen lights in October, they're not allowed to import, but surely we're not going to have enough stock for another 5 years. What will happen during that time if the halogen was to be replaced?
Through the chair, we have spoken to our electricians that we deal with on a regular basis to ensure that they have stock of our current lights, and we would then have to look at replacing the lights immediately if there was an issue. So we'd have to replace just those fixtures alone.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Naji?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Louise, for a much more comprehensive report this time round. Councillor Strong is pretty on the ball there, that as long as it doesn't affect and have more impact on the residents, but I'm sure that St George Football are working between hopefully the Friends of Gardner Park and the club and 3 other parties involved to try and bring harmony between the two and make each other understand and so on. But I just want to put on record for this council, it's not just about Gardner Park. And I'm sure my colleagues would support that it's the safety issue for all our youth in sport, for even adults that play sport, is the safety of training on all parks, not just Gardner Park, all around the LGA. Every club around the LGA, whether it's soccer, whether it's football, whether it's cricket, it's our duty to make sure that it's all safe to train, safe to play. Just want to assure Councillor Strong that the council has the authority to even condition Gardner Park that there won't be an extra usage of training or extra usage of night games, which will not affect and have a greater impact on the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Najee. Any other comments, councillors? Councillor Douglas?
Thank you for this report. I think what would be really great with the table would be to have another line there which is more explicit about which of those fields are being used for those different levels of purposes. So which ones are amateur and semi-professional level, match practice, club level competition games, because at the moment I feel like we don't quite have all the information to see, like comparing, say, Bexley Oval to the Bicentennial Stadium at Illendon. I have a sense that there is a different scale there, like is in the report. You know, there's parking, there's a grandstand, there's a bunch of infrastructure that supports that. But I know a lot of these sites, but I don't know all of them. So I would ask if, before this comes back to the full council, if we could have that additional information included in the report, please.
Through the chair, we'll work with our Sport and Rec team to get usage and the club level that's at those parks.
Thank you, because I think also parking is an issue at Gardner Park, for instance, so any increased usage is of concern to the community. I also have concerns around the fact that we're putting new lighting systems in at a lower level at 50 lux when we're already getting requests for 100 lux. So I think we need to be really clear on, well, why are these fields getting 100 and these fields getting 50? And that information isn't clear in the report at the moment. And so if that could also be addressed in the supplementary information, please.
Chair, could I
Sorry.
information on that one? Thank you. So the 50 lux is the Australian standard for training, so that's considered to be a safe level. And so the report explains that we would look at 100 lux on all weather fields, and that's on the assumption that they get used more often. And if there's night games to be played, they're probably going to be played on those fields. The turf fields we've got penciled in there for 50 lux to allow for training at night time, but not for competitive games. Those are the fields that are generally sort of preserved, I guess, at nighttime training, so that they're in good condition for weekend competition. So that's the thinking at this stage. The higher level lighting is obviously more expensive to install and run, and we do have more issues with light spill from higher level lighting. So I think we need to look at it also on a case-by-case basis. If there's residential properties close by, then it's more challenging to go for the brighter lighting. But our more remote fields, we could accommodate 100 lux more easily. But it does come with a higher construction cost and then a higher running cost as well.
Sure.
Thank you. I just, my final point, I think that really hits home to what my final point, which is it is recommended that this standard be adopted for all weather playing fields where there is demand, and the assessment approval process finds that the impacts, especially light spill, can be managed. Now, I'm not as familiar with Gardner Park as potentially other councillors, but my understanding is that the DA, that they would require a DA if there was going to be a change in lighting. So I think if we're going to have a policy for lighting across the board, I think that's great. But therefore, we need to be really clear on this, that if the community doesn't want it because it's too close to people's homes, then that's a valid reason. You know, it has to be, it says it finds the impacts, especially light spill, can be managed. Well, it's not just about light spill, it's also about increased use, increased parking, you know, all the other things that have been a social impact of this field. So I would highly support this becoming a council policy across the board that's very clear, so that we're not making ad hoc decisions, but that include the process that changes in lighting have to go through a DA that has to be compliant with all the things that a DA has to do for the community.
Councillor Najee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The more I hear around, I respect everyone's view, and I understand the concerns Councillor Douglas brings into this committee. Just a clarification through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Peter Barber. With this new technology, and I'm not suggesting we're going to go to 200 lux anyway, but with this new technology, isn't it by programming you can switch from 100 to 200 plus control it more further that no one can abuse that time. So, for example, you might say 8 p.m. and the council can program and make sure that all lights are off, at 8 p.m. Is that, and the other second part of the question, this new technology will have a less spill onto the neighbours before I go onto my next part.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Chair. We use a technology platform called Cloudmaster for all of our new installations, and that allows council to program the lights remotely. So generally when the bookings are made, we can actually program the level of light that will come on when that booking starts. The clubs don't have access to that system apart from one feature, and that is that they can turn the lights off if they finish early. That's the only control they have over them. But they can't turn them on and they can't increase the intensity of them at all.
Great.
Yep, we can do that remotely. Yep. So if a club was to make a booking and say it's training only, we're happy with 50 lux, we can preset it for that. If they wanted to play a game and wanted 100, we could preset it for that as well.
Great.
Okay, as for residents around the park, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, there's councillors that's been on this council for a long time, there's officers who are very experienced. If you look all around the LGA, I'm not going to say all the parks, but maybe 99 or 95% of the parks is surrounded by residents. And I'll give you just a couple of examples. Arncliffe Park, there's residents all around and it's 100 lux and there's no problem, but they've never need to switch it to 200. Okay, Bexley Oval. If anyone knows Bexley Oval, and thank God it's not just soccer they play there, it's rugby league. And we helped him out the other day, and thanks to Richard acting promptly, and they're rugby league, and that's all surrounded by residents. And there's no complaints as far as I understand. Now, I don't want to go through all the LGA and tell you. Scarborough Park, some of it is residents, half, all on the sideline of certain Barton Park, it's all residents there. Where can I go? There's so many. So really, we are not impacting the residents. We can't jeopardise safety of our children training. When I say our children, our youth, because I see everyone is like a child to me, like my child, because I look further ahead, not only for ourselves, for our children, but our grandchildren. And that's why I have my grandson sometimes in the reels with me. And there'll be more coming soon. But anyway, Mr. Mayor, if we are not impacting, and guess what? If I was going to buy a property around the park, I know what to expect, that there will be games, there will be some sound, there will be some parking issues, and there will be some lighting. And I feel with these residents, I'm not saying that we should ignore them, but it cannot be just a reason to stop the safety for our youth, regardless whether it's Gardner Park or somewhere else. And believe me, all parks, maybe we should do a tour, Mr. Barber, and take us around and show us that there's residents all around the parks, not just Gardner Park, everywhere. Thank you.
Sorry, can I?
Thank you, Senator. Sir, Councillor Douglas.
I just like having met with residents there on site, and the park is very unusual. It's got residents' backyards right up to underneath the football field, and it's got an acoustic property as well that amplifies sound. I live right on the edge of Barton Park, but the houses are nowhere near as close, and there is none of those issues. So I think we do have to be cognizant of the fact that there are specific things in the different locations that do amplify problems that we need to mitigate, rather than just say blanketly we'll treat everything the same.
Oh, that will be definitely done. Councillor Strong, Mayor McDougall.
Thank you, Chair. Like, I was just going to say that I really support. I think this is great that this information has come out. I think it's really important that we have as a general policy a standardised approach to these things. I think it makes perfect sense that we're investing more in lighting levels for all weather fields. We've obviously made significant investment in these, and making sure we're able to get that use out of them is important. And I think I just make the point that, you know, having a policy in place is great, and we should use that to guide us. But at the end of the day, you know, council still needs to make decisions on all of these. We need to make decisions on budgeting, on actually moving the projects ahead. And at the end of the day, we're accountable for them, as we should be. And I think on Councillor Douglas's point, I mean, I think these are self-assessments that we do for projects like this. They don't need to go through a full DA process. But I think under previous resolutions of council, we've committed to making sure we do community consultation on those anyway, so that we make sure we have that feedback. And then it's ultimately a choice for council about how we respond to that.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor McDougall. That's good. Any other comments, councillors? Thank you. We'll vote on the item. All in favour, say aye. Against, declare it carried. Thank you. And I think that being our last report, and we've got no confidential, so I declare meeting closed at 6:56. Thank you so much for attending.
meeting of the City Performance Committee of Bayside Council open at 7:30 p.m. Just like to begin by acknowledging country and the Bidjigal clan, pay their respects to their elders past, present and emerging, as well as the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I have a procedural motion to appoint Councillor Douglas as chair of the meeting in the absence of the chair and deputy chair. Moved Councillor Curry, seconded Councillor Brederhoft. All in favour, all those against. Declare that carried.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight we will vote on a leave of absence for Councillor Kasim, who's normally the chair of this meeting. She's on leave previously granted at the council meeting on the 27th of August 2025. Moved by Councillor Curry, seconded by Councillor Brederhoft. Are there any other online councillors? Councillor Disco is online, so we need to...
Yes, I mean online.
So as we have Councillor Disco wishing to participate in this meeting by audio-visual link, may I have a motion? Would someone like to move second that the councillor request to attend by audio-visual link be granted? Thank you, Councillor McDougall and Councillor Brederhoft. Does anybody have a disclosure of interest that they would like to declare for the meeting tonight? No disclosures. Can I ask that two councillors who were present at the previous meeting move and second the confirmation of the minutes, please? Councillor McDougall and Councillor Brederhoft have moved. Thank you. So we will go now to... There are no public speakers for the forum, so we will go straight to the first report, which is CP 25.043, Response to Notice of Motion Council-Wide App. Do we have an officer's report? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Council adopted the following notice of motion at its meeting of the 28th of May 2025, that Council investigates the development of a council-wide mobile app which will expand on the services, information and engagement that's offered by the Bayside Waste app. The Communications and Engagement team acknowledge and supports the intent of the notice of motion to investigate the development of a council-wide application that just builds upon the functionality and the community value of the existing Bayside Waste and Library apps alongside our customer service portals. A unified mobile platform presents an opportunity to enhance resident access to council services. However, the deployment of a whole of council app also presents several significant challenges that must be carefully considered. Just talk you through them on the next slide. So the key challenges are specialised technology requirements. Core council services like waste management and library services use specialised third-party platforms that are designed to meet the complex operational and regulatory requirements. For example, the Bayside Waste and Library apps provide specific functionalities but don't integrate with other systems for tasks like lodging reports or paying rates. Additionally, other services that we offer, such as children's services, sport and recreation bookings and events, they all require separate technologies that also need to be considered. User experience and accessibility. Residents expect mobile apps to be fast, reliable and easy to navigate. Attempting to consolidate all of council services into one app risks creating a bloated or fragmented experience that may be less effective than targeted service-specific applications. So, for example, you couldn't borrow a book at the library or book a waste pickup specifically if they're not integrated correctly. There is integration complexity and cost. So developing a whole app would require seamless integration across multiple departments, each operating with different systems, data structures and service delivery models. Ensuring a consistent and intuitive experience across such varied services would necessitate a comprehensive review of our core systems. This would include significant upgrades or even a replacement of them, alongside substantial investment in application development and ongoing technical support. There's also governance and maintenance, and a unified app would require a centralised governance model to manage the updates, content, security. This also introduces some complexity and resource demands. Next slide. Council's IT strategy is currently under review and it will assess all of our core systems and ensure that our technology is better aligned with our operational needs, service delivery and broader organisational goals. At this stage, rather than pursuing a single consolidated app that would require significant investment and involve considerable complexity to deliver. It's proposed that Council explore a more modular or federated approach to improve the service delivery. Just the next slide. Sorry. Next one. Yep. So this would include developing a council services hub or web page that really centralises access to the specialised apps and offerings and services in a unified way. So really proposing an improved digital front door for all of our services. That would mean that we would need to enhance existing apps with improved branding, a unified design and cross-linking to create a more cohesive and seamless experience. This approach would allow Council to maintain the integrity and the performance of all those specialised platforms, but also provide a place for them all to be and improve the accessibility and customer experience. So the recommendation before you tonight is that Council undertake a detailed scoping and feasibility study for the development of a centralised council services hub, including input from key stakeholders, a technical assessment and benchmarking against other local government models, and that the findings be presented to committee for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for that thorough presentation. So we have an officer's recommendation before us. Do we have a mover and a seconder for this item? Councillor Brederhoft.
Happy to move. I'll second.
Okay. Councillor Dusku and Councillor Brederhoft moved and second. Do we have any discussions on that?
Thank you for that report, and I think that makes perfect sense to me. The idea of a services hub, and then you only have to go to one place. Oh, yeah, you only have to go to one place then as well, because currently we've got the library, we've got the waste. So I think if we can streamline everything as part of the digital project that's happening, and with the recent upgrade to the website as well, I think that then aligns to the customer experience as well. So yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks.
Can I ask, what do you actually mean by a hub?
Yeah, so essentially I'm proposing that we have a place on the website that really houses all of our different services and all the linkages to them, so that we still have, essentially we still have apps and different things, but we have a better front door that could be also used on a mobile device as well, which is, you know, the advantage of those apps that they're mobile, so that we basically have a site that has all of our centralised offerings in one place, and people can go to the ones that they need, and that in them they'd still have the ability to do all the functions that they would expect.
I'm just looking at the Strathfield Council's hub. So they have a one-stop shop app, is it? But can they also do library booking through their hub?
Yeah, so and that's sort of what I'm proposing here, is that we look into having a centralised place for them all. It doesn't mean that all those systems will become one. There will be linkages off to other systems because they are specialised, but that there's at least one place that everybody can go and look for all the services and have access to them and find, the appropriate link. So when they want to book a venue, they can go to the one page, book a venue. They can go to the one page to go off to the library to borrow a book. At the moment, we don't have that all on one page and not presented in a nice way. So it's, sort of a different approach, but enhancing it, the digital front door, as opposed to creating an app that would require it to be all one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, I think it would be great long term to have one integrated app, like this the Strathfield Hub looks like it is an app that's integrated. So I think as part of this next step, you mentioned you're going to assess what other councillors are doing and best practice, and have, I imagine it would be great if we had a bit of a 5-year plan on this to work out how do we get there, if it's really too hard now, but what are the steps to have that end goal of integration?
Absolutely, yeah. Part of that study will sort of go into the future state and what we can do now and what we can do in the future.
Great. Are there any other discussion points, councillors?
So I'm just looking at this Strathfield hub thing, which it seems to have a much more impressive promo than what it actually does, which is you basically just report issues, which we've already got that functionality through our website. So I just like, I think the approach is really sensible. I don't, you know, and I think taking this moving forward, we might start integrating these things. But I think there is benefit in specialization as well. I mean, I don't think like I'm open to other opinions, but I don't need to check when my waste pickup is while I'm borrowing a book. Like what is the actual functionality of having these all in a single app? It might just be more practical in the long run for us to start looking at that. And I mean, having systems that integrate with each other is just sensible. Like, you know, developing ad hoc applications just makes it more expensive for us, I think. But yeah, I think having I mean, Elon Musk said X was going to become the everything app. Like it doesn't do anything more than it did however many years ago. I'm just like slightly skeptical that the answer to things is just to have more things in one place. Like we should make it easy to access services. Like that's where we should start, and how we get there, I think, is a different question. Like it used to be that you needed an app to access the internet readily on a smartphone. Now it's quite like we have an app functionality on our website. It might be easier just to make sure that you can click through to report an issue on the Bayside New South Wales website, which I've got up on my phone right now, and you know, functions exactly the same as a standalone app is, and I don't have to download anything. Anyway, just some thoughts.
All right, so if we're ready to, we've moved and seconded that. We'll now vote on this item. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, declare that motion carried. So we'll now move on to CP 25.044, response to notice of motion customer service. And I imagine that there is a report on this before we go into discussion.
Thank you, through the Chair. We'll tackle this in two. I'll just do a brief introduction about the strategy, and then I'll hand it to Sally to do the presentation. First of all, I thank Council for the notice of motion, because it's helped us a lot in terms of bringing together an action plan that supports the strategy. So now that we've got this notice of motion, it sort of gives us a nice schedule of work for us to sort of move forward into our what we're calling stage 2 of the customer experience strategy. Stage 1 of the strategy was really a short-term strategy about delivering tangible wins in a quick fashion. It was also a cultural change program. We've had a large role and a large rollout of the charter, and it was born just the vibe of customer service. It was actually getting around to the whole accounts on every coordinator and actually going through it in detail and hearing their input and trying to get it embedded in the organisation. On the positive side, we've seen an uplift in the last year and a half in terms of the motivation and awareness around being a customer-focused organisation. We did take a unique approach by doing the culture first. A lot of councils have gone for technology first and found that it hasn't worked and it's failed. So I think the way we've approached it, I think, is going to be a better practice for the future, because I think if we can get that culture and that uplift with the staff and the focus on it, when we roll out the technology, it should be a lot easier. So we've really focused on our back end, our middleware, and now we really want to start focusing on the front end as part of our strategy. The other part of the strategy we sort of see in the report is we've had project managers and officers as funded for stage 1. They're only funded for the first stage. So now council's obviously got to look at that internally in terms of how we're going to progress stage 2 with the resources. So that's something we'll consider in our next budget presentation for council. And the last item we'll probably address is the measurement. Trying to measure customer satisfaction obviously is difficult, but we do have an item in the operational plan this year where we'll actually go out and do further surveys, but we haven't actually scoped that work at this stage. But that's something we're currently considering, how we'll start measuring the improvement. The last time we tested it was in 2002. We did a baseline, so we should be able to get some good data and have a look at the movement over the last few years. And now I'll hand to Sally to go through the detail in stage 1 and 2.
Thank you. So I will start by going through some of the key achievements from the stage 1 delivery, and then look at what we've got planned for stage 2. I'll then hand over to Manager of Communication and Engagements to discuss the chatbot that was raised in the notice of motion, and then onto the recommendation So the customer experience strategy, policy and charter was adopted in February 2024 and really relied upon 4 key principles. So looking not just at the traditional service points of customer service, the transactional, but also looking at how we manage our information and treat it as an asset. The look and feel of our entire local government area, recognising that every time a customer walks through our community, they are experiencing the services and infrastructure that we provide, and also opportunities for self-service where our customers can experience our services at any time of the day at the point of their choosing. It was identified to deliver the strategy in a cultural change program over 3 phases. The first one was Become Better, and that was incremental, improving what we do now. The stage 2 is about doing better and changing the way that we do business to make further improvements. And the final stage being Be Better for Bayside, where we continuously improve our services and the quality of service that we deliver to our community. The focus areas of the change program covered off on people and culture, technology, data, information and processes, and also governance and performance. So some of the key achievements since implementation, we have undertaken Be Better engagements across the entire organisation. So we met with each manager and that filtered down to coordinators and leads to discuss what better looked like for their individual business units and their identified customers. Out of that, we identified 193 incremental action items. They have been continuing. We're very close to wrapping up now, and we've got more than 75% of those action items completed. Some of them included childcare services surveys, improved process documentation, improved use of the existing technology, so it was all incremental. So looking at ways we can use those resources we already have better, increasing collaboration opportunities and improved reporting. We've also enhanced our training delivery in conjunction with learning and development. So we delivered customer experience charter awareness sessions to nearly 600 employees. So getting them to identify in what areas and in what ways they deliver a customer experience every day. It was across the organisation and really the first step in sharing that and embedding it across every employee at Bayside Council. L&D has also had more than 250 attendees at customer-focused training sessions, so looking at KLAs within that customer-focused area. And through that delivery and uplift in our capabilities within our staff, we've managed to maintain higher than 80% of calls addressed at the first point of contact, even in the face of a 21% increase in call volume. We also delivered a restructure of customer experience. Richard alluded to that. So with increased digital engagement, there were additional administrative responsibilities and requirements. So we restructured to do that. And we also have a place liaison officer with customer experience that's contributing to asset reporting and really looking at what our customers and community see out and about. In services and operations, we extended call centre hours, so the data indicated that we were receiving a high volume of calls between 4:30 and 5:30 shortly after the call centre previously closed. By extending those call centre hours and spreading our staff, so no additional staff to address that, just spreading the hours of operation, we, in the first 12 months, were able to address 3,800 more direct interactions with our customers at the time they chose to call us. We've also reviewed and improved some of our key services and high volume services. Things like tree requests, it was identified that nearly half of all tree requests resulted in no further action, but that was only after our tree team attended, provided site inspections. So through a review of the process, better qualifying data collection at that first point of contact, we're able to give better clarity to our customers and free up time within our team to do the work that they can actually action. With technology and systems, we upgraded the user interface for our report it online function, halving the number of clicks it takes to self-report on our website. and reducing the average time taken by 41%. That was delivered late June of 2025, and we've already seen the volume of use increase. So it was sitting at around 18%. It's now increased to 23% of the customer requests we receive, and we'll do ongoing awareness campaigns through our communications team to hopefully see that improve. We've expanded online form options, so delivery of an additional 32 forms that were traditional paper forms or downloadable PDFs, making that easier for the customer to transact with us and reducing the manual burden. We launched an internal customer knowledge base, so with operational information to better equip our employees with information across the board. It improved collaboration, and we have run a pilot chatbot over that to increase accessibility, and that delivers more consistent information when we're interacting with our customers. We also introduced SMS communications, enabling our customers to receive direct links at the time of a phone call to information application forms and also reference numbers when they are logging customer requests. With communications and engagement, we created an internal Be Better for Bayside page, which has been tracking the progress of our Be Better engagements and also providing an easy access point for all employees at Bayside to access Be Better for Bayside, the strategy, the charter and the policy, and review the customer experience content on there. Our communications team have issued 23 issues of the Talking Bayside, our external newsletter, and also our Inside Bayside for internal communications each year. And we've leveraged on the customer focus delivery plan in GM roadshows through divisional presentations and providing expanded opportunities for collaboration. With data governance and performance, we have created additional dashboards that provide staff with analytics that really drive our decisions and reducing the manual burden, so we can see why our customers are emailing us. We can be proactive in delivering that information and identify areas for improvement and where we need to deliver those online forms, and that will continue. We've improved call routing when customers are calling us to get the customer to the right person with as few transfers as possible and really facilitate that, addressing customers at the first point of contact. And we've also improved responsiveness, so we can now more easily leverage our existing systems to advertise and promote what's happening in council on any given day, on any given week. The community satisfaction survey underpinned the baseline for our customer experience delivery, and as Richard alluded to, we'll be looking at seeking additional customer feedback in the coming 12 to 18 months to benchmark and measure our progress. And establishment of performance metrics and quality assurance programs, so delivering quarterly updates to City Performance Committee and introducing a quality assurance program on our calls to see how we're doing and keep a track of that. So for stage 2, we've got a substantial program of work, starting with internal engagements. So those engagements that we undertook in stage 1, we'll be circling back around to management and coordinators and leads to identify opportunities for customer experience improvement. We'll continue to build capacity within the organisation through working with learning and development, looking at reviewing and improving how we manage our correspondence, so we still receive a large volume of emails, so looking at how best to manage, track and report on that. Customer data intelligence, so expanding the work that we've done on collating statistics and data collection about our customers. Improving our request management system, so looking at how we can better collect it, how we can talk our customers' language and make sure that they understand it and are using it to the best of their ability. And with that, reviewing service standards built into that. And promoting those service standards so our community can know what to expect. Creating opportunities for customer feedback, embedding the customer experience focus in staff recruitment and performance to make sure we're getting the right people for the right job that is on board with delivering a customer-focused organisation. Looking at service reviews and customer journey mapping, so identifying any hurdles or bumps for our customers and identifying improvements to streamline that. Continuing to expand our online services, so we've got 32 new forms. That's not the end of the road for that, so we'll continue to expand that. And improving our governance guidelines to embed customer focus in our decision making and adopting plans for the future, and making sure that the customer focus is embedded in that. Lorraine?
So chatbots are valuable tools to modernise service delivery, and they can support the burden on staff by handling routine inquiries and providing 24/7 support. A well-designed chatbot can guide users to the website, help locate resources, and answer frequently asked questions in real time. This enhances our experience, especially outside the normal business hours. We want to, however, ensure that we have the right model to make sure that we actually do really provide efficiencies for council. Currently, there are two main types of chatbots. The details are in the report. At the moment, the AI-driven approach is deemed more efficient and sustainable because it draws directly from our live website content, which is our single source of truth. This aligns with our digital communication strategy and is the preferred approach. AI chatbots, however, they do depend on clear, well-structured content to perform accurately, and poorly prepared information can lead to incorrect or inappropriate responses, risking user trust and can damage council's reputation. So to mitigate these risks, we'll have to have an implementation that will require a phased and carefully managed rollout. This will involve a comprehensive audit of all website content to ensure that it's suitable for AI interpretation, collaboration across teams to rewrite or restructure the content wherever necessary, rigorous testing to identify and correct errors in the chatbot responses, and ongoing monitoring and maintenance to ensure that it remains accurate and is aligned with our organisational messaging. I'm pleased to report a chatbot has been identified as a priority within our website improvement plan and our digital communication strategy. The communications team is currently researching options with implementation planned within the next 12 months.
So in planning the Stage 2 program of works, there's a number of assumptions and challenges that we've identified. In terms of cost and budget, particularly around technology investment, we have made the assumption that we are continuing with our existing core legacy systems. And for that reason, a lot of Stage 2 is around improving and building on what we've already got and expanding that capacity. We will require ongoing support from our IT team and business transformation, particularly learning and development, our business analysts and organisational development, and we'll continue working closely with comms and engagement on our communication channels, websites and future developments. And in terms of change management, it is a series of projects, so we'll be developing bespoke change management plans for each of those, which addresses the scope and impact of each project. So the recommendation before you today is noting the update to the customer experience strategy Stage 1 and proposed actions for Stage 2, and that a report on the progress of Stage 2 and feasibility of a chatbot be completed within 12 months.
Thank you for that very thorough report. We have an officer's recommendation before us. Is there a mover and a seconder and any discussion?
I'll move it.
You're not technically here. Councillor Dusku and Councillor McDougall. Do we have discussion on that item?
I just wanted to say it's a really great initiative, the chatbot, and I'm looking forward to seeing it being rolled out and completed.
Yeah, thank you. I think some of that data is really interesting too around responses, and also the training of staff is a real key of the success in this. I just wanted to ask, so you mentioned the core legacy systems. So as we work to modernise council, and we're talking about not just customer experience, but we're talking about, you know, council-wide apps or hubs and the website. So it's probably a question for Mr. Sheridan or Mr. Barber. So have we looked at, and with cyber security and everything, have we looked at our back end system, and at what point are we going to have to actually invest in our IT system so that things can talk better? And then also, you know, we can have a much more advanced experience for both staff and the community.
No, it's a good observation. We're actually in the process of the IT strategy finalising for the 22 to 25 period. We've obviously got the stage 2 rolling out at the moment with the customer experience, and we've got the digital communication strategy rolling out. So we're building this all into our new strategy. We've done a application study across the whole of council, and we've overlaid it with the cybersecurity and the risks. And we're bringing that to leadership in October, and we're hoping to have an IT revised strategy by January next year, which will then obviously address all those legacy systems that you're talking about. And we are looking very much, council's gone down the path of having a sort of a cloud first adoption, making sure that everything complies with cybersecurity and the data's easily accessible and shareable. We have we do have a few integration issues at the moment with projects we've had in the past where we've tried to roll out mobility and other things and it hasn't integrated well, and we've had to pull back on those things because the technology doesn't really support it. So there's definitely going to be a hard decision for council at some stage in the next 12 months what we're going to do around things like our CRM and our applications, because without that integration to other party products, it makes it very hard for us to modernise. So it's going to become a constraint within the next 12 to 24 months if we don't make a substantial decision in that space.
Yeah, thank you. Because, you know, and it's a common thing across organisations where, you know, we've put gap stops and then we're always trying to band-aid and we're trying to integrate when it often doesn't work. So, you know, maybe I put it to the committee, should we be looking at investing some funds now into a thorough overview of our whole back-end system, so that rather than, you know, that includes CRM, that includes everything, instead of managing 20 different systems or whatever it is, like, has any work been done on looking at a whole new system?
No, we've just done a study of all our existing systems. So to give you some context, in terms of modules, we own about 211 different modules, which is across about 89 or 90 pieces of software. So we've sort of mapped all that, and we've now got a good risk assessment on what's actually working well and what's not complying. So we've just given them a colour coding system. And I guess the next stage of the strategy is to sit with the executive and say, yeah, what's next? But no, we haven't actually done any more work around that space.
Can I just add something there, Chair? One of the challenges that we face is that local government is a pretty small market in the IT world. And for some of the applications that we rely on heavily, there's only, you know, 2 or maybe 3 products in the market. So we're kind of, you know, for some of them, we're pretty much at the mercy of the software companies. And that makes it difficult. If they don't integrate well with each other, then, you know, that's a real challenge for us. And it's partly, you know, as was said, that we're running so many different services in the one organisation, probably more than 50 different businesses, and they do have different requirements. So it's really hard to find one application or suite of applications that will do everything. So we are kind of forced to go with different platforms and then have the challenge of making them talk to each other. There is one provider in the market, Technology One, who we use some products of, and they do claim to have a broader offering of products that integrate. That's still in its fairly early stages, and some of the early adopter councils are still having difficulty getting it to work properly. So that's one opportunity that we could look at. But yeah, there's not a lot of choice for us, unfortunately.
So, is our CRM system at the standard that we'd expect, or is that something that is going, because that is the one that guides everything on customer experience. It's the tracking, it's everything. So if we don't have a good, and I know from my, working life that the CRM that can, have huge influence if it's an effective system. So what are we using for CRM?
Yeah, so we've got two main applications. We've got the technology one for their finances and our assets, and then for all the other applications, we use Pathway. So inside of Pathway, because it's a property-based system, we tend to have the CRM system in that place. So every time we raise a request, it actually records against the property. So their Pathway is there. So when you want to see the online services, that's actually a Pathway product.
So would you see a high quality CRM as a priority in when we're looking at this whole technology and, when we're talking chatbots and things like that? Like, is that the priority, or does there need to be a little bit more of an overarching technology framework that is established?
It's definitely on the top five. The HR system and the CRM system are probably our two things that cause us the most challenges. So they're definitely on the radar, but it's just a consideration of what we actually do to fix them, because we're now starting to see CRM systems pop up in waste, libraries, pools, customer experience. So it's trying to grapple with all those different areas of how we actually get something that's going to work for the whole of Bayside. And we don't want to move too far away from our property-based system. There's been other councils who've gone out and spent $20 million on a front-end nice US model product, but it hasn't actually ended up improving. It's made requesting a CRM quicker, but it hasn't made delivering a service any better. So it is a very big decision for council to kind of map it out properly, and actually then go out and do an exercise, I think, in terms of trying to find products that would actually work.
Is there any further discussion, councillors? I had a few questions. I mean, I think one of my number one complaints that I get from residents, I often joke that I'm a counsellor who counsels, because I get people on the phone when they're upset. And so I think they usually come to me, I don't know about other councillors, but when they're already past breaking point with council and I hear all the worst. Often I will say to them, could you put that in writing, please, so that I can email that to the staff and work on what the issue is at the root cause, and then I never hear from them again. I think they just wanted to vent. But one of the main things that I get was that they feel that the council correspondence that they've received has been passive aggressive. I get that commonly from residents. I don't know if that's true, because I haven't seen that correspondence. So I'm not making any accusations of staff, but it does make me think that, is there a need potentially for the use of AI for reviewing some of the correspondence that goes to residents to just check for the levels of, because you can use AI now to check, is something passive aggressive? Is this tone correct? It can help you to prevent anything that you might seem fine to one person, but to somebody else does not.
Look, AI can definitely help in those areas. I think some of the discussion that you're having this evening, we are doing some things in the background, like we are trialling at the moment Copilot with some of our managers. They have access to that. In order to purchase that for everybody, though, everyone is responsible for drafting responses to correspondence that goes throughout all of council. So there's bigger decisions, but I think, yes, absolutely there can be enhancements and templates even, and reviews of those things. And I know even some of those things are taking place. I know that there's even been, very recently we've had guidelines updated for, how to write letters and things like that. So those supports are there, but yes, there's absolutely possibilities of, using AI and other ways to continue to support that, the communication and the correspondence that's going out. But there are bigger decisions, I think, as to, how we do that. At the moment, we don't want people putting in private information into AI to help finesse, the language and the delivery of it to be more friendly in a tone, because it can have private information. So we would have to have, in order to do that, we'd have to have everybody have licenses and be able to do that safely and securely. So there's all these flow-on effects that we need to consider as part of our digital strategies in our technology and our comm strategies.
And I guess that's a budgetary decision, but it also will help with efficiency in the long run and customer service quality. So, it is something I think that council should take seriously. And I think the other thing that I was really interested in this motion was the service level agreements, in terms of what can people expect? How long does it take to get a response? So recently my husband put in an application to have a tree reviewed for removal. There was nothing on the website that said how long he should expect that response to take. And it's been 6 weeks or so, and he's coming back to me saying council's hopeless, and I'm like, well, I don't know how long these things take. So I think having some sort of indication on the website was of how long should you expect one of these many things that you do to take would be really helpful to residents to assess, look, I'm planning to do such and such and such, I'm getting quotes, I want to get this work done by this time. So, and then that improvement on those service level agreements, like you've been doing with DAs, I think across the board would be really helpful to residents, because I do hear that complaint a lot as well. Like I've been given the runaround by council.
So through the chair, we have that planned for stage 2 of the strategy. We do have SLAs for all of our CRMs. They have not been revisited in a number of years. So publishing them at this stage probably wouldn't benefit the community and the customers. But in stage 2, reviewing those SLAs and establishing what is reasonable, what can be delivered, and then being able to communicate them is a priority.
I think that would be really helpful, to be transparent and accountable to the community. And I think my last point is just around our councillor correspondence that we send to you through the council CRM portal. Is it tracked on there, how the kind of satisfaction or of the residents? Because I know that is also an important communication from residents to council. And if we're often getting that frustration, do you track what that is in terms of your customer service responses that are in here?
Through the chair, yes, we do. So they are treated in effect as a customer request, and we can report on the SLAs and achieving those. And they get, if it's a complaint, they'll get recorded as a complaint.
Okay.
And follow that. Thank you.
Great. Is there any other discussion, councillors?
How does it align to, and sorry, I'm just going to take you to in the next report, which is the draft operational plan. So 4.3.2.9, which is page 91. So it says, develop a service review program. Now that's delayed there. So how does, I know that it was presented to the executive and ARIC in August. Well, what's next? And how does that then align with the session where, how does the service review framework align with the customer experience and the service points?
Through the chair. Service review framework that's referred to in the operational plan is a statutory requirement under the IPNR guidelines. The service reviews, whilst they're all, of course, talking about the same thing, the service reviews that Sally's referring to are more about customer journey mapping, etc. Service level agreement. So it's probably a language thing. It should say service level agreements rather than service reviews. They are two things that are running next to each other but have different purposes.
So I think we've had everyone's feels they've had their ample discussion. Thank you for answering all of our questions. All those in favour of the motion as put, say aye. Against? I declare that carried. We'll move on to CP 25.045, the draft information management policy. Do we have a report? We do.
Yes, your Chair. We just get the presentation up, and Sally will take you through.
Okay, so in this report, we're proposing a new policy. It represents a shift from an old records management system to a modern, flexible information management approach. It better reflects today's work environment and moves beyond just records to managing information holistically and ensuring alignment with government directives. The traditional records management was primarily focused on collection, retention and disposal of documents. Information management now goes further. It includes emails, databases, social media, collaborative platforms, sharing and more. So in terms of modernising information management, the proposed draft policy is aligned to New South Wales Government Data Strategy. So that's focused on accelerating actionable insights and enabling data-driven decisions, treating data as an asset and understanding the value of that, and that's reflected in our customer experience strategy, building transparency and trust, ensuring that information is collected, managed and used in the best way possible, fostering a culture of leadership and capability by ensuring our people within the organisation understand the importance of using information and collecting it. Like I said, it expands beyond documents and addresses the broader suite of databases, social media and platforms, and enables easier finding, sharing and use of information. In developing the draft information management policy, we consulted with information technology, so to ensure that it was closely aligned with cybersecurity, with governance and risk, again aligned with our privacy management plan, sought input from our General Counsel, and also learning and development to ensure that the policy, if adopted, is palatable and can be shared and distributed within the organisation, again fostering that culture of good information management. The next steps is to go on a 28-day public exhibition. We'll then report back to the City Performance Committee with any submissions, and following adoption, undertake a staff awareness campaign, because like customer experience, it really is an organisation approach. The recommendation before you is that Council receives and notes the draft information management policy and endorses a public exhibition period of 28 days, that Council authorises the General Manager to approve any minor editorial changes prior to public exhibition, and that Council notes a further report will be presented to the City Performance Committee following the exhibition period.
Thank you very much. Is there a mover and a seconder for this item?
I'll
Councillor
move that.
Brendhoft and Councillor Dusko. Do we have any discussion on this item? No discussion? Okay, all those in favour, please say aye. And against?
Aye.
Declare that carried. We'll move on now to, thank you for your report, by the way. We will now move on to the next item, which is, the draft operational plan end of year progress report, which is very exciting. It is. And so do we have a report on this? Thank you.
Apologies for the setup delay. Councillors, through the chair, I'm here tonight to just show you to talk to you about present the end of year report for the 2024-25 operational plan. As you're well aware, the operational plan is a requirement under the IPNR framework. It's where we include our detailed actions and budgets for each financial year. We report against on the progress against these actions every 6 months, and as this is the second 6 monthly report, it's the end of year report for that operational plan. This report includes our 10 bold moves and the outcomes of those 10 bold moves. There's an action status snapshot to show the progress of each of the actions. There's a section that talks about highlights for the year under each theme, and the final part of the report is the detailed comments on the actions for 24-25. To the 10 bold moves, and these are the ones from the previous operational plan. The outcomes have been included in the report. This is a snapshot of what they are saying. Environment and Resilience Strategy talks about the suite of strategies that were adopted. Barton Park, as you know, has been delivered. Boulevard Car Park progressing. Botany Aquatic. La Beach Hut. Some of these have carried over as bold moves for in the current operational plan. The Town Park at Wallow Creek has been delivered. The Angelo and Estes conversion to direct management has been delivered. Customer experience, you've heard a lot about tonight, the strategy having been adopted in February. The Rockdale Community Centre was refocused and is now being included as part of the Rockdale Town Centre Master Plan. And that Master Plan has been presented to Council and will be publicly exhibited early in 2026. This is the page with the snapshot of all of the actions. So for theme 1, there were 48 actions, theme 2, etc., etc. Of all of the actions in the operational plan for 24-25, 143 of them were completed, 10 substantially. 1 was discontinued, and there were a couple that were of 9 that were delayed, deferred, and they detailed in the actual document that's attached to the report. Following, I've pulled out the pages that have the highlights for each theme, and this is a great snapshot of all the things that have been delivered by the organisation over the last 12 months. And it's pulled from our community newsletters, so it's information that we've already been telling the community about, and it shows all the little things in relation to each theme that have been delivered over the year. So there's theme 1 with the Barton Park opening, etc. Theme 2 talks to some of our domestic violence actions and activities and summer foreshore program, NAIDOT week, etc. Theme 3 is the green theme with all the bush care and the trees for mum, etc. that we have done in that year. Theme 4, one of our highlights was electing a new council, as well as a delivery of a suite of IPNR documents, business awards held, etc. So from here, the document is sent to council via the minutes for endorsement. Once endorsed, it will be published on our website, and the operational plan tables, they're at the rear of the document, are included in the annual report, along with all our statutory reporting obligations.
Thank you. Could we have a mover and a seconder for this item, please? Councillor Brederhoft and Councillor McDougall. And do we have any discussion?
So just a question on the local area fund strategy. What's the delay there?
Through your chair, so this refers to the local area funds that are paid for through an additional rate on business in a number of our town centres. They were established by both former councils at various points in time, and we've had some difficulty in tracking back to actually understand the reasons why they were established and the purposes to which the money can be put. So that has been a delay. We've been back through old minute books and tried to find out what we can. Some we have information on, some we have nothing. So just recently we've sought some legal advice as to what we can do with those accumulated funds, what they can be spent on and if there's any other options for them. So that's primarily been the complication with that one, but we do have a way forward now, and that will be coming up to the executive soon and then to council.
Thank you.
Thank you for that report. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So I'm looking at page 65, so 1.1.1.3. So this is around our work in domestic and family violence, and I'm just wondering if this could just be cross-checked, because I've had, it says here that 10 meetings of Eastern Suburbs Domestic Violence Network were attended by a council representative, but on numerous occasions I've had people ask me why Bayside Council isn't represented at that meeting. So I wouldn't want this to go out if that is incorrect. Thank you. The other one was in relation to 1.1.1.5. So it's the respond to complaints about unauthorised development uses or unsafe structures. Now, just to clarify, and it's probably a question for you, Mr. Barber, when we put in complaints around noise breaches where they are potentially in breach of DA or those sorts of things, do those things factor into this?
Through your chair, I would assume that they do, but I would need to check exactly. They'd be related to CRM categories.
If you could check that, because they're all attended to within 3 days, I would like that investigated, please.
I assume they all receive we know we've received your complaint within 3 days. I assume that means.
Yeah, it just says some that, they're taking a very long time for someone to go out and investigate when there's significant breaches with noise and things. So yeah, if you could just take that on notice to investigate, that'd be great.
Can I just
Yeah, sure.
If what we mean is that they're acknowledged within 3 days, I think we should say that rather than responded to, because I think that implies that we're actually doing something about 100% of them within 3 days.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of skeptical.
Thank you. And then 1.2.4.2, next page 69. So I just note that the work we're doing in the arts and culture space, which I have to say is fantastic, the murals and that, but just what I want to clarify here is we talk about a range of public artworks were commissioned, right? So our policy is pretty clear on it has to be EOIs. So are we putting out EOIs or are we commissioning? So I think we just need to, ensure, one, that we are putting out EOIs, and then just be careful how we, yes, thank you. That's all.
I have a few questions, mostly around the 10 bold moves, which I just found a little bit confusing. I don't know if I'm just misreading it, but I think that it, because it's an annual report, the end of the operational year, but it refers to a few things that are outside of that operational year that have already been delivered. So I think from my perspective as someone who's reading this, I would like to see a little bit of an update. Like you're telling me this again, this is kind of old information. So why are you telling me this in this report? Can you provide me some extra context? Like, for instance, the one around the Bexley Aquatic Centre, it sort of starts to do so. It's going from strength to strength, but I'd like to know a bit more. Why are we mentioning it in this report? Or can I just ask, am I missing entirely the context for why we're mentioning things that are being delivered previously to this operational year?
Through the chair, the 10 bold moves have been included in the report on an annual basis, even though sometimes they have been completed, and that's probably an operational error. We should have been more direct with them. I think that we need to associate them more with our delivery program rather than our operational plan, which has a wider span of years and is obviously more effective for a lot of these projects. So I agree that it is confusing that some of these have been re-reported when they have been completed. Unfortunately, this report needs to address what was in the operational plan that was adopted, and they probably shouldn't have been included in that. So that's an operational error from our point of view, but I do agree that it is confusing.
Chair, I think the confusion there is because we have an operational plan spanning 4 years and then an operational delivery program, and then an operational plan every year. And so some of those are picked up in the delivery program and some were delivered, but they were still referenced in the current year's operational plan. So we can tidy that up in future, but that's really the reason why they're there, because the plans cross over.
Maybe some indication in the preamble around that, and a quick update on how things are going. Like, I think it's nice to be reminded that the Barton Park was delivered ahead of schedule, but it would be really nice to say some measure of success that's happened since, for these really great achievements, including Guest Park. Town Park, Guest Avenue, the real Wallow Creek, the great outcomes there, which I think we could spend a moment to reflect on. The other one that I just wanted to pull out was the Rockdale Community Cultural Centre and the Rockdale Town Centre. So we've said we're going to incorporate the Community Cultural Centre, will be considered as part of the Rockdale Centre Master Plan project. My understanding is from the notices of motion that it's not just to be considered, that will be part of the core of that Rockdale Town Master Plan is focused on a creative space, and that's not reflected then in the next part of the Rockdale Town Centre. So I would just suggest that we need an additional dot point in the objectives of bold move 10, which then incorporates that objective around a community cultural centre or an arts precinct or whatever it is that we've used in previous language.
Chair, I think the language is probably a bit tentative there because the Rockdale master plan hasn't been out to the public yet, and this report sort of ends on the 30th of June through the year. So, but I think we can firm the language up a little bit more than what's in there.
I think it would just give the community an indication that it definitely is still alive, that all their feedback that they've given isn't just falling on deaf ears and we haven't just bulldozed the site. We're still doing the next step. So thank you. That's my feedback. Councillor Bradhoft.
Thank you. I also just, part of it as well in the bold moves, the outcomes, particularly for environment and resilience. Like there's sort of the moves that says, oh, we have developed all these strategies, but for residents, I think in the community, it's a bit, there could be said more what are really tangible and measurable outcomes. I read somewhere down the line, which I don't think a community would go down to, but I've sort of said 84% of 400 trees, that was a target planted. Like some outcomes like that in there would, I think, be beneficial. And as well as in I think the last bold move where customer experience, the outcome is also a bit vague. Like, can we just flesh it up a bit with some tangible data, and that's all, just lift it up from the last pages.
One other point just with that environment and resilience, it says including, we will take an evidence-based approach to embrace innovation and new technologies, including electric vehicles, alternative energy, and real-time flood monitoring. I do have an issue with calling it alternative energy. I think it's not alternative anymore, it's mainstream. So it would be nice if we could call it renewable energy there instead. Thank you. But I do have a conflict of interest there. So I think that's all the discussion for now. Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, this is peripheral. I'll be brief. But just on the public art piece, I think some of the murals that staff gotten completed in recent times are really impressive. The new one at Rockdale Library, I was pretty sure it's done by a local artist who works out of a studio just at Rockdale, who has 300,000 followers on Instagram, which I think it's actually just really cool that we have that sort of thing popping up in the area, and that sort of the growth of the creative industries and that sort of thing, and the way council's embracing it over the last couple of years, and we're seeing that come to fruition now. I just think is very impressive. So just a comment and a congratulations to staff on the great work, which obviously is cross-disciplinary and goes across a whole lot of range of areas to make those sort of things happen and work.
Just add, similar to Rockdale Musical Society, I mean, it was fabulous. As what we have here is actually absolutely fabulous. I was so impressed with the Beauty and the Beast. So can I just say that?
Okay, so all those in favour of the motion, please say aye. Against, I declare that carried. We'll now go on to the final report, which is response to notice of motion Sister City Gilgandra, CP 25.045. Do we need a report on this one? No. Okay. So is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor McDougall, Councillor Bretterhooft. Is there any discussion? All those in favour say aye. Against, declare that carried. And that completes our meeting at 8:37 p.m. Thank you very much. Thank you.